Doing mode versus being mode. Welcome to your second official week of Braving Wild Motherhood. It's Jillian, and I'm here with you again to guide you on this journey to moving through and coming out the other side of anxiety so you can be more present in your life and connect more deeply with your children. Today, we are getting right into the teachings of mindfulness and how they can help you begin to be more present right away. And why do we want to be more present? Because we can't be anxious when we are present. We can't be thinking about the future when we are experiencing right now. So, we're going to do a mindfulness exercise right after this lesson. Then, after that, you'll learn one of the cornerstone meditation practices that mindfulness rests upon. But first, let's start with a quote. Our life is shaped by our mind, for we become what we think. And that's by the Buddha. This is a perfect quote for the next few weeks because we are going to be digging into the things we think, understanding where our thoughts even come from, and how we can be the driver of our thoughts instead of running on autopilot. Okay, let's get started. I'd like you to think back to the lesson number 1, where we saw the parts of the brain diagram and learned about the 3 functions of our mind that we are focusing on in this program: the critical thinking part, the unconscious or subconscious part, which I also sometimes call the automatic part, and the present aware consciousness part. We learned that the first 2 parts, the thinking and unconscious parts, are very connected. In our day to day lives, we spend most of our time moving between those 2 brain parts. This is when we are operating from what we call our doing mode. Sometimes I also call it thinking mode, but I use those terms interchangeably. It seems to make sense, right? We spend most of our time either thinking about doing things, working in our job, completing tasks, striving towards achieving a goal, trying to figure out what we should do about something, making plans, and so on. Even when we are scrolling on our phone or watching Netflix, we're still doing because information is coming at us. We're processing it in some way in one or both of these brain places. Even when we sleep, we often wake up thinking about things that came up during the day, things that we are worried about, things that we didn't get done, things we need to do. You get the idea, and I know you know what I mean. But as you also learned in lesson 1, there is another part of the brain, the present aware consciousness part, that is responsible for all the other great stuff: our talents, wisdom, inspiration, intuition, and more. When we are hanging out in this part of our mind, when we're operating from this place, we are in being mode. So, what exactly is being mode? The short and simple answer is that being mode is intentional rather than automatic. This means we can choose what we want to do rather than run on old habits that aren't serving us well. When we are operating from this being mode, we see familiar things for what feels like the very first time. I know it sounds a little hard to imagine actually being in being mode, but for the rest of this program, you are going to practice this so much with my guidance that you will be a pro at it by the end. Here's a bit more of a description of the difference between doing mode and being mode to help make things more clear. Doing mode works on ideas, goals, and thoughts about the world. Being mode connects with life exactly as it is now. Doing mode uses thinking to analyze and interpret information. Being mode uses our 5 senses to notice what is happening right now in this moment. Doing mode does mental time travel. We spend time in the future thinking about how things should be, or what bad thing could happen in the future. Or we travel back in time to the past and think about memories from before and think about how things could be different. Being mode allows memories from the past or hopes for the future to be there, but without having them connect to what's happening right now or control our behavior in any way. For example, it knows that we could go out and get in a car accident, but that knowledge doesn't affect in any way how we feel or what we do. Doing mode uses past experiences or memories to predict what will happen in the future. Example, if you got struck by lightning in a rainstorm, you think that every time it rains, you could get struck by lightning. Whereas being mode does not make comparisons between the past and the present or the past and the future. Doing mode runs most of the time on autopilot. It's controlled mostly by our automatic and unconscious brain, where our old memories, habits, and instincts tell us what to think and do. Being mode is not on automatic pilot, but instead is conscious, aware, and able to take purposeful action that is based on proper processing of information and not on what our old memories and experiences are telling us. If the difference still seems a bit fuzzy, that's okay. Mindfulness and the difference between doing and being mode is something that you really have to experience firsthand to understand. It's one thing to cognitively understand it, but that's still you being in your doing mode. This is the main reason why doing home practice is so important to your success. You need to experience spending time in being mode to see for yourself what it is like and why you want to be there more often. Like all the good things in life, having being mode and all the good stuff that comes with it available to you whenever you need it takes an ongoing commitment. For now, the most important takeaways from this lesson are that there are two different modes of living in the world: doing mode and being mode. Anxiety arises only in doing mode. It cannot happen in being mode because doing mode is the way of living that is future or past focused, relies on thinking, has old habits that come from our automatic unconscious brain, and is influenced by our stress system. And if you think about what anxiety is, it's worrying about bad things that could happen in the future, overthinking and trying to solve problems that could happen in the future, and involves a bunch of automatic habits, instincts, and responses to fears and worries. Notice how all of that is either focused on the future or based on things that happened in the past? That is how anxiety holds us and keeps us stuck. It makes sure we are never in the now. But we are going to outsmart it just by spending more time in being mode. So, for your first practice in being mode, let's get started right now with the raisin exercise. Go ahead and click on the audio recording whenever you're ready and download the worksheet to fill out when you're done. Or you can answer the questions from the worksheet in your journal.